Hi students, hello students, here's teacher Pedro. Welcome to another English session. And for the session of today, we have the topic 19 and we are going to make a review of the previous topics. We are going to check and study the last couple of topics. And we are going to start with these guidelines or recommendation. It's important and let's pay attention. Add the letter es at the end of the verb if we use simple present, number one. Number two, we use he, she, it as subject. And number three, with the next ending of verbs. I'm going to repeat, it's important. We are going to add the letters es at the end of the verb if we use a simple present as number one, number two with he, she, or it, number three with the next endings. Example, we have the next endings, the letters sh like wash, ch like research, ws like miss, wz like booze, or the letter x like fix. So this is our example. Those are example of the endings of the verbs when we have to add the letter es in simple present. Okay? This is the number one. I'm going to repeat. Let's check again. Add the letters es at the end of the verb if we use the simple present with the subject he, she, or it, or with sh, ch, ws, x, wz, or ws. Number two. Case number two. Add the letter es at the end of the verb if we use the simple present when with the subject he, she, or it, and with most of the verbs like, and this we are going to add the letter s with most of the with the rest of the verbs like send, water, interpret, etc. Those verbs, if you pay attention, doesn't end with the letter sh, ch, ws, etc. They are different. They end, for example, send with the letter d, water with the letter r, interpret with the letter t, and so on. It's different. Okay, very, very different. Important, pay attention. We have to pay attention to the subject, and we have to take into consideration that most of these rules apply just with third person. The third person is he, she, or it, or the equivalent. So, for example, here, what is the correct one? A computer network architect researches, or a computer network architect researches. Okay, number one, we have to pay attention to the grammar test. In this situation, is simple present. Number two, to the subject, he, she, or it. In this case, is a computer network architect. One person could be he or she is one person. Okay, correct. We have two steps. Number three, pay attention to the endings. In this case, we have the verb research. It ends with the letter ch. We have to add the letter es. It's not correct the letter s. Okay, so that's the reason the case number two is the correct one. It researches, not researches. Okay, pay attention to this point. Then pay attention to the end of the verb. For example, here again we have several examples. Architect researches new tool. Architect sends a plan. Architects research new tool. Architects send a plan. All of them are correct. But why? Architect researches. Architect is only one person, so that's why we have to add the letter es. Compare the number three. Architects research. In this case, we don't add the letter es because it's plural. It's not he, she, or it. That's why we didn't add the letter es. Okay, so it's research, not researches. Okay, and then number two, architect sends a plan. One person, that's why we have to add the letter S, not the ES also. And then architects send a plan. In this case, it's not necessary to add the letter S because it's plural. To conclude, it's important to pay attention to the subject. This is the most common situation of failure. In this case, only for third person. Third person could be equivalent to singular in some way, and when it's singular, we have two endings, es or s. If the subject is plural, it's not necessary. We don't have to add the letter es or s. I'm going to repeat. It's not important. It's not necessary. Example: architects research new tool. Architects plural, so it's not necessary the es. Architects send, also the letter s is not here, but the number one and the number two has the ending s or es because they are singular. Okay, so please check this view as much as you can. Repeat and repeat is very important. I'm going to conclude with, you have to pay attention to the ending of the verbs, and number two, and the most important also, with the subject. If the subject is singular, we have to add the letter es or s. If the subjects are plural, like architects, it's not necessary to do this. Okay, see you and thank you very much.